This week, we're going to be looking at the Tower of Babel. And we know the story. They build a tower and they trying to make a name for themselves. But there's things behind that are so interesting, like this idea of trying to be the great themselves, putting themselves in that place of God. When you think of how that relates to our lives, how people do that even today, what comes to your mind?
Well, I think if someone wants to be top dog, as we like to say, it obviously has to do with pride and arrogance, those sorts of things. But it also, of course, does have to do with control in our lives. We don't like to be out of control. Also, we love our comforts, or we love, being first, whatever it is, whether it's a competition thing or not. But we also just want to be in charge. We want to be in control. And so I think that's at the heart of what's happening in the story here at the Tower of Babel.
It's interesting how they say, come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower with a top in the heavens. Let us make a name for ourselves. It kind of is a picture of that, the top dog you described. That's a good way to say it.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting also, it says, and nothing that they propose to do will now be impossible for them. And we find ourselves in a society like that, where we are making these enormous advances because we have this ability to communicate with one another, and at the same time that causes problems.
Yeah, I mean, it has certainly been debated over time. What does that mean? That God has this sense of concern. We know it wasn't like fear, but a sense of concern that people will be able to do whatever they want. Lots have been debated on that, but what comes to mind for me, what is meant by that is they're going to get themselves into a situation they can't get out of.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's where sin always leads us.
Right. Yeah, and they don't even know what's coming.
Exactly. They have no idea what they are about to do.
Right. And by God's grace, He stops them, and we pray that He would continue to do that in our lives, stopping us from getting ourselves so in over our head